we can see that also in one of the most famous countries of chocolate, the culture about cocoa and the process of chocolate is not so common and it is not so famous. But also here the music is changing, and also here the work of the bean to bar chocolate makers doing great results. Here we are, the last episode of 2021 for Chocozone podcast is arrived. Welcome in Chocozone. This episode is with a guest that is coming from the house of chocolatiers, France. Yes, we are still in Europe and we talk with someone that has started with bean to bar from the beginning of his career with chocolate and now is a sort of opinion leader for the new movement of chocolate in the house of chocolatiers. Well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are with Aurelien Duclox of Baleine Cabosse. Hello, Aurelien. How are you?
Hello, everybody. Hello.
Hello, Aurelien.
Aurelien, welcome in our podcast for sure. And like to all our guests, we ask to introduce yourself. Where do you live? Where you born at? What is the background you have before to enter in the world of chocolate? So explain something more about you.
It's a very common question, but in the world of bean to bar chocolate, because we all have different histories and what I can see in the global picture today in the bean to bar in France, that we come from a really heterogenical and different countries and origins. Yes. So for me, I didn't know anything about chocolate back in 6 years ago, and I decided with my wife Claire to go to Colombia. We wanted to see something else because we used to work in NGOs, in ministries here in France, and it was like 5-6 years that we were working, and we wanted to see something else. So we decided to quit our jobs and to live around. So we put some different name of countries on small papers in a hat. We mixed, and we picked just one paper, and it was Colombia. So we took the plane, one-way ticket to Colombia.
How old were you?
I was 26.
Oh, okay.
So we arrived in Colombia with absolutely no idea in mind. Colombia is well known for many things, legal or illegal things. So we decided to start with coffee. Okay, so we
Colombia or coffee or other things.
That's why I have to say it because everybody tells me. So we started to work in a coffee plantation, and next to the coffee plantation there was a cacao plantation. So we visited it just to see what the fruit looked like, and we realized that we didn't know nothing about chocolate. We could see on the trees that there was some green, purple, yellow, red pods. We were unable to name the variety of cacao. In France, here we know plenty of grape variety. We know plenty of apples, even coffee. We know Arabica, Robusta, the big families, but in cacao, absolutely nothing. So it was quite surprising for us. And my wife Claire doesn't like chocolate at all. For Easter, when she was young, she didn't have a chocolate egg. She had some saucisson, some like meat.
Mm-hmm.
And the cocoa producer, he made us visit the plantation, and we crushed chocolate from the bean it was very raw, so it was only handmade, but it has a taste incredible, and we decided to reproduce this experience, but in a city center of a big city in France, in Marseille, to explain and to show to other people chocolate consumers what we learned in this plantation.
And she started to like chocolate in that moment, or still she doesn't?
But
Now it's okay, but only our chocolate.
Yeah,
Okay.
your own chocolate.
No, but it's really important because today when we create a new chocolate, she's very critical because there are many things that she doesn't like. Industrial chocolate, the taste of the smoothness of industrial chocolate. So when it looks like industrial chocolate, it's a no.
Listen, France is one of the most famous country for chocolate. You know, I think it's something cultural. Chocolate as a food is something that you grow up with, and many of the chocolatiers are the most famous in the world. When did you realize that the major part of the chocolatier, they were not making their own chocolate?
The first night when we came back from the cocoa plantation, because as I told you, we were like, okay, we don't know nothing. How is it possible? So we were on the internet just to check who craft chocolate, and that's where we realized that the bean to bar movement were already started in the US, a little bit in Europe and in Japan. So we were like, okay, this is exactly what we had in mind. And
In which year we were? When did you start?
2016.
And how many chocolate makers that were started from the bean, they were in 2016 in France?
In France at that time, we were 20, to my knowledge, and now we are around 100. So when I say 100, it's really everybody all put together. The really small crafter with the 8 kilograms machine and the semi-industrial. So 100 is really the maximum.
Aurelien, when did you understand that this could be your job, your future, your life? When?
Quite fast in Colombia. Then we stayed 6 months in the country to see different cocoa producers all over the country to understand their job, what the genetic means, how you craft chocolate, and to understand the before bean to bar, like the tree to bean, let's say that. So that's where we had this feeling of, okay, we can do something. Then we came back to France and we bought just 2 small mélangeurs, and we started in a garage in a small room just to have some tests. We wanted to try something. It was to say, okay, we are going to buy 3 different bags from Colombia, from the 3 origins we loved, and we are going to craft exactly the same recipe. Roasting, conching the sugar, etc. And we should have different chocolates. So we did this during like 2 or 3 months to have a great recipe, and we started to try the chocolate makers, pastry chef, people who are used to work with chocolate. We wanted to have their feedback on our chocolate compared to their industrial chocolate like Valrhona or other ones. And they all said, okay, what you do is different. Your chocolate is really more tasty than the best of Valrhona today. They did some blind tests. So we had the confirmation that, okay, the project, the idea was interesting, and the product as well. Because I didn't want to start a company with just a concept and some marketing. I wanted to have a really, the taste is really important in this job to me. Oh, it's difficult to explain in English. It's a play on word. In France, the whale is called la baleine à bosse. Bosse is like a bump.
Okay.
And a pod is named a cabosse. So boss and cabosse looks like. And when you see the shape of a pod and the shape of a whale, it's quite similar. So at first it was a history for kids I wrote in Colombia, because we came back with a project of chocolate shop and with a baby. So it was a history for kids, and we liked, we keep it for the chocolate shop.
Okay. Look, Aurelien, when we started as a machine manufacturer back in 2011, we started being quite, famous for the tempering machine, for the 2-ingredient chocolate, and the mélanger, the big mélanger. And we started selling in many different countries. For my memory, I remember that France was one of the most challenging country. So it was quite hard to enter that market with the mélanger, basically. Can you explain, according to you, you are French, so you can guess why there was this kind of a resistance against the bean to bar in the beginning?
I think in France we have strong corporations in different field of work, like in chocolate, but in many different kind of work. Historically, we negotiated advantages for people who are working. So you have like chocolate pastry, bakery. You have a training directed by the state. So it's quite the state is quite important in the different jobs in France. So once you can enter this like corporation, you are protected, which is good, but which is sometimes impeach innovation. I think that comes from my apologies for my English. I hope you get the main idea of like once you have something you want to keep it. And so I think when you are a chocolate maker, a traditional chocolate maker, when you see bean to bar coming, you are like, okay, this is not what I learned in my training. What is it, this object? And for many people told us who have the training of chocolate maker, during the training they were saying it's not possible to craft your own chocolate. This is
really?
what many people told me this. So this is what, so many chocolate makers didn't even have the thinking of that.
Okay.
Yes, and with the bean to bar, you can play with a lot of steps during the cocoa beans that become chocolate, and instead with the chocolate that you open from the bag and you put into the tempering machine, you cannot work on the chocolate, but you have only to work on the recipes with different ganache inside, and this is amazing, but it is also more difficult to understand for the people that has a background different. Yeah.
My question, when I see the history of chocolate, it's like a wave for me. Like before, everybody was crafting chocolate from bean to bar, like 100 years ago. So then everybody externalized this part of bean to bar chocolate making and left it to industrial people. Now we have the bean to bar coming back with new machines, new way of working, and new values, which is really important. So my question is, in 20 years, this new wave, where is it going to go? Are we going to find industrial process, but a new way of industrial process? Are we going to do exactly the same thing that industrial are doing today? This is my question. I don't know where the movement is going to.
Yeah. You make chocolate from cocoa beans, and please tell us where do you take your cocoa, and if you deal directly with the farmers, or if you have some brokers or traders.
In Colombia, we did the sourcing ourselves. During 6 months, we had time to do this. So we met many different cooperatives, and we were on the field, on the ground, to see how the plantation were organized. And then we had meetings with the the leaders of the cooperative. Sometimes it was like 40 to 50 people around a big table in a big room just to share our vision of cocoa. So it was really interesting, those kind of meetings, because sometimes we don't have the feeling at all. We were in front of people saying that they just wanted to make some big production, but with no without loving their varieties of cacao. And sometimes we have the feeling with people who are who took care of humans and of nature. So, of course, the kind of people that we work with today. But we don't have now time to go 6 months in India, in Madagascar. So we have to work with cacao. In French, we say sourceur de cacao. It's like trader, but trader is the term is badly connoted to me.
Yeah.
And we are very lucky because one of them is living in Marseille. We are neighbor. So we meet each other really often, and she does a great job. She lived 6 years in Peru, so she knows really well his job. And thanks to our experience in Colombia, we ask always many questions on how much is paid the farmer, how much is paid the cooperative, what are the projects behind the cooperative, like that kind.
And how many origins you have now?
Now 10. 3 in Colombia, 3 in Mexico. We wanted to show that in one country you have plenty of cacao, and then we have like 1 in India, 1 in Madagascar, 1 in Peru.
Okay. For talking about the process of your chocolate making, did you make something with with machine? You automatize the process, and did you keep something manual? And why you chose to keep something manual and use machines for producing your chocolate?
We are a small chocolate shop. We are just my wife and me, and 3 to 4 people working with us. So it's not much. So it's not. We have many machines, but like the packing is all handmade. The sorting of beans is all handmade, and the rest is almost all mechanical. But still.
And why? It's a choice. I mean, you kept that because you want to make it manually, or it is because I don't know, it's too expensive to make it with a machine, or there is less attention to details? There is any particular reason why?
It's a good question. Keeping handmade chocolate, handmade steps in chocolate making, sometimes it's a real added value. Like you can feel the beans, how the beans react, and learn to know them, because every bean is different, of course. And sometimes there is no added value to handmade, like packing. If I had a machine to pack, be great. It's not very interesting in terms of work, just to pack. Okay. But the where do you put the cursor? Like if you have a machine, you just put on your pad, mechanical pad. Okay, you put the bean. When you see industrial machines, it works like this. You have the big bags coming. The machine just open the bag. It's an automatic sorting, and everything is automatic. So as a human being or as a worker in that kind of place, okay, you just externalize all your job to the machine. What I like in Bean2Bar is that every machine is really separate, and you have the control on every machine. So it's a good combination between mechanical help, because if I did the crunching with my foot, okay, it would be a bit long. And the human intelligence and feeling of the bean. So it's a good.
Yeah. In France, there are a good number now. There are a good number of bean-to-bar chocolate makers. So that there is also a group, an association that create cooperation. I know that you are one of the leaders of this group. So please tell us something more about Bean2Bar France.
So this association, when we started La Baleine à Cabosse, our chocolate shop, we had it in mind because we want to. When we started, it was very difficult to have some people open to train us and to give some information. The doors were closed. So we had to start from nothing, just ourselves, and to find our proper solutions and ideas. So sometimes it's cool, and sometimes you need to have some a place to share experiences and to be more clever together. So we had it in mind, but we didn't have time to do it because we have no people working with us. We had to do everything ourselves. Now we have a team, and it's the case of other Bean2 Bar that started after us. So now we have time to put our ideas together, and that's what we wanted to do. So Bean2 Bar France, this association, have three different objectives. First, it's a place to share ideas. It's totally transparent, so you can host all the other Bean2 Bar in your lab and share everything you know. It's okay for us. So it's a condition that not everybody is okay to respect. Then we wanted to talk with only one voice to the customers, to chocolate fans. So what is Bean2 Bar today in terms of values and in terms of work? And then, as it's a new job in France, the new trainings are popping everywhere in the country. So what I told you in the beginning, that we like in France to have one training for everyone, the same in every region of France. So we think that maybe in 2, 3, 5 years, we'll have a big training, Bean2 Bar training, national. So we wanted to have an association, again, to speak with just one voice. What is Bean2 Bar today in France? What does it mean?
Wow, this is ambitious, very ambitious, the last point.
Yeah, yes, yes. And then, of course, if we have some projects with all the members of the association, it would be very interesting to buy beans together, to bring our beans together in boats using the wind, for example. Yeah, like we have big ambitions, but we are all small. So together, our ambitions have more sense.
Yeah, sure. Listen, now that also in France, the Bean2 Bar just have a quite important, strength. Okay, what do you think it is the approach of the average consumer in France? I mean, I think they are used to the commercial chocolate. They are used to that kind of taste, the sweetness, and the food that the chocolatier were used to give to them. How is now the approach? Which is the difference they can feel between you as a chocolate maker and the chocolatier? Do you think they are kind of confusing, or they start understanding the differences?
We have a lot of explanations to do, and that's part of our job today in our shop during some conferences. Everywhere we can, we explain the difference between traditional chocolate and Bean2 Bar chocolate. And we see the first effects. Some of our customers say, so I asked to my other favorite chocolate shop where he buys his beans, and he doesn't know. So we see the starting of this process. It's absolutely not a war between Bean2 Bar and traditional chocolate, because they do many things we don't know how to do, praline and stuff like this, ganache. It's not our job in La Baleine à Cabosse. And the consumer, I think we have to. Sometimes I hear companies saying, "Okay, we changed because our consumers want a change." To me, we are the people knowing all the production chain from the plantation to the chocolate. So it's our mission to be the most transparent, fair, and ethical, to propose the best chocolates and to explain how we do it. the consumer, I think what I see, for example, Christmas is coming. Companies are asking for chocolate bags for 100, 200 people. It's quite difficult today to propose some chocolate bars. Now it's not Christmas enough, or it's like what we buy in a supermarket. So we have a lot of explanations to do.
It's kind of an educational mission.
Yes, but that's a really interesting part of the job to me.
Sure. And chocolate is also cocoa. What do you think about the support that chocolate crafter could give to the farmers? And what do you think is still good or wrong about the cocoa beans? Or it is an opportunity that the cocoa farmers could have to grow a little bit and to live better?
To me, it's not like the chocolate makers in Europe have the knowledge and have to explain to the cocoa producer how to do their job. They know well better their job than us. So I don't want to say, okay, I'm going in the plantation to tell them how to do. Fermentation, it's their part of the job and they do it really well. But what is interesting is to meet up and to exchange and to share experiences. Okay, can you change a little bit the fermentation to check what it gives in my chocolate? Do you like it? So that kind of things. What I can do is pay more the cocoa beans, of course, it's important, and to explain to the chocolate consumer their part of the job back in the cocoa plantation. So are the three main points to me.
Are you producing only bars? Which is the variety of your production? And if it's only bars today, are you planning to make, I don't know, to develop other kind of product like dragée or aerobic products or whatever?
Mainly, I craft mainly chocolate bars, and then raw chocolate with hazelnut or berries, just put on the top, and I broke big part of chocolate. When I do some rocher or some chocolate stuffed filled bars, I do it with another chocolate shop in Marseille. So it's a collaboration. We give her, it's a lady, we give her our chocolates, and they craft everything, and we sell the bars in the two shops, for example. And we work a lot in collaboration with a coffee maker, with tea sellers, with pastry chef, with many people. We make a bar like is in Marseille. Here we have a guy who makes some smoke fish, smoke meat, and so we give him our beans. He smoked the beans during 6 hours, and then we craft chocolate with these beans. So it has a really taste like with the whiskey. It's perfect.
Wow.
That kind of collaboration, it's really interesting because we don't have all the knowledge and all the ideas. And when you talk with other people in gastronomy and in the food, you have plenty of ideas. And Marseille is a good city for that today. It's moving a lot in terms of gastronomy.
And about it, where and how are you selling your products? Do you use dealers, international networks, e-commerce? You sell abroad or you sell only in your shop?
I sell in my shop. I sell online, and the COVID helped us on this. I developed the online selling. And we sell in other shops, but we don't have barcodes, for example, on our packaging. So it's only on small shops, mainly in shops with those we have some collaboration on some products. And we started to export a little bit in Japan, but it's like residual.
Okay. Talking a little more about the association. Who are I guess, chocolatiers? but there is a particular chocolate maker, a particular history that you want to tell us, or a particular activity that you are going to arrange through the association. For example, I know that you've been in the Réunion Island to make a visit, to make a trip over there. Is there any particular story you can tell about?
Two examples of because the association is not old. We started back in June. So 3 examples of actions that we do. First, we went to, it was not La Réunion, it was Mayotte, but still it's a French island close to Madagascar. And in Mayotte, they realized that they import chocolate and they eat 100% of the chocolate eaten in the island is imported. But you find some cacao trees everywhere, but they didn't have the machines to craft chocolate. So they decided to, many different people decided to create a lab and to craft chocolate from the bean to bar, tree to bar there, and they received your machines from FBM, and they wanted us to help them to start the production. So we went there. It was the first action. It was really, really very interesting. Like many cocoa producers there told us that for them, the pod was a fruit. They didn't know. They saw it from like since they were a child. They thought it was a fruit like mango or other fruits. They didn't like chocolate crafted from the pod. Other action, we are going to buy some beans from Chuao in Venezuela, because there is Chuao is one of the most well-known beans in the world, and there is a lot from 2018 in Europe who doesn't find people to buy it, and we don't want it to go in industry, or because they are going to reduce the price. So Chloé Doutre-Roussel, who is our leader of the association, she told us, okay, the Chuao in Venezuela, the traceability is very complicated to keep. So are you able, you members of the association, to buy, everybody buy some bags and you make the same bar? And this is a thing we wanted to do with exactly the same lot of cacao. Everyone is going to craft a different bar, and we're going to share and to compare our work. This is really interesting to help the producer to keep this traceability on this lot of Chuao, and then to have like a little competition between us to see who is going to do what with this Chuao. And last example, so the first action we had back in June, we invited all the members of the association in our lab in Marseille to have a training all together on tempering. So we found a specialist, a chemist, who dedicated his life to tempering of chocolate, Samuel Biz, his name. And we had 2 days of training all together in our lab, and it was really, really interesting for everyone. That kind of.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Just by curiosity, did you never receive a request from some famous pastry chef or mof from France that was asking for your chocolate to make his production, or not?
Not that much, but because it's not our. I work with restaurants that I really love in Marseille, but we don't have a lot of asking of that kind. But in La Baleine Cabosse, it's not one of our objective. I know other bean-to-bar makers work with the 3 stars restaurants or 2 stars restaurants. I just have an asking of a 2 stars restaurant close to Marseille last week, and they want me to make chocolate with shrimp.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Taiwan, they are just doing it. Yeah. So we are quite finished, and we arrive always at the last question of our podcast. How do you see your company and the bean-to-bar movement in France within the next 10 years? So in 2040, what we will see about you and your company and the bean-to-bar in France?
First, my company, I want a company where people are happy to work. A company that grow bigger, but not too big. I don't want to have plenty of shops or a big company. I just want something small but optimized. So yeah, that's where I see La Baleine Cabosse with new origins and more time to go back in the countries and to more link with my producers, because everything I say from the beginning, you can think that we are everything is perfect. No, we have to improve on almost every step of the process, the link with the producers, everything. So that's where Bean2Bar, the association, Bean2Bar France, help us a lot and help everyone. Today we are 100 in France to craft chocolate from Bean2Bar. I think we are going to be much more in a 5, like maybe. When I say 100, it's on 2,300 chocolate shops in France. So,
Oh wow!
So I think maybe 1,000 Bean2Bar shops in 10 years. It's not absolutely impossible for me.
Okay.
What I hope is that this association is linked with other countries. We are starting to work with Brazil. They have 2 to 3 years of advance on our work, so we are going to have a communication campaign together. And it's interesting that we have to learn from Brazil on the structuration of the association.
Okay, great.
Okay. So Aurelien, well, thank you a lot for your time, for your experience, and
Thank
we hope
you.
to meet you soon.
We hope to be able to meet again in person, not virtually anymore. And
I hope so.
we wish you all the best for your business. Thank you very much.
You too.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye. So I really hope that you are satisfied also with this episode. Aurelien is really a good person that could help the Bean2Bar movement in France. Anyway, it is the end of this 2021, and I hope that all of you are safe, almost happy, and proud of what you made in this year. Chocozone podcast now goes in holidays for a few weeks, and we will be back with other stories of chocolate in 2022. I wish you a good time with the family and a really happy new year with all that you need, but nothing more than necessary. See you soon, guys.